So let's look first at that political question for a moment now, because many believe that 2026 is a make or break year for the opposition. The states that will go to the polls are all states where the opposition has much at stake. West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Assam are the four major states. Tavleen Singh, it's one thing to look at Mr. Modi and dissect his failures or achievements. It's another thing then to compare him to where the opposition stands. Do you agree this is make or break for the opposition? Because how weak or how effective the opposition is also important for a parliamentary democracy.
I totally agree that it is. And, you know, I'm going to borrow Ashutosh's magnificent failure phrase. It's a very good one. The opposition is our really magnificent failure. And, they failed again and again. I'm talking specifically of the Congress Party because it's the only national level opposition party. And there was some momentum. I really believe that without an opposition, there is danger of autocracy. There is danger of government not doing its job. So I'm actually very keen on the Congress Party reviving. And I have seen no sign, I'm really making that clear, no sign at all that the Congress Party has done any introspection about why it fails in election after election after election. And why it's now reduced to, is it 2 states or 3 states? I think that, they're reduced.
They're in power 3 states and they're sharing power in 2 others, but 3 states, Himachal, Karnataka, Telangana.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to go to the Darbar. Of course, that I've written about that often. And there is that Darbari culture that hasn't changed. But there is no attempt being made, in my view, in the past 10 years, to rebuild the structure of the party. There was a time when you would go into a village and there would be a Seva Dal worker with a little Gandhi cap on his head. And every time there was some crisis in the village, those guys used to be there. They're not there anymore. And it appears that no one has noticed. And all that they have done is try to build the image of the Gandhi family up. And, the Gandhi family has shown that it's no longer able to be that kind of, the goose that lays the golden eggs or whatever. So, I really think that a magnificent failure. And I don't see any revival.
And you don't see much hope? You don't see things changing in 2026?
No, I think it might get worse. Because where is the Congress Party going to win? Assam maybe, but everywhere.
Kerala is the state where perhaps they hope to win. But you're saying that nothing will change materially unless it changes organizationally. Yeah, broadly, that's what you're saying. And you need a complete reboot of the party. Swapan Dasgupta, do you believe this is make or break for the opposition in a sense that Mr. Modi becomes even stronger as the opposition becomes weaker? Or as Ashutosh seems to suggest that the opposition isn't being allowed a level playing field, the Election Commission and other institutions are being misused by the government?
Rajdeep, I think each year, whenever you do a year ending, you'll find that you'll say it's a make or break for this thing or that thing. So there are challenges for every institution in India, and the opposition is no exception. It's had a particularly bad year in 2025. That doesn't mean that the opposition is dead. There's always going to be an opposition in India. I think really what we are talking about, the crisis of the opposition, is in effect, as Tavleen quite lucidly argued, the crisis of the Congress Party. The regional parties are still batting reasonably strong. The Trinamool is going to give a good fight. It may win, it may lose, whatever it is. The CPM, which is basically a regional party, and the DMK, these are parties which are still in, and the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha somewhere there, the Samajwadi there. These parties are very much there. It's the problem is that of the Congress Party. Now, there has been a tendency to believe that the opposition really depends on the fortunes of the Congress. If that model is taken into account, I think the opposition is going to have a terribly bad time in 2026. However, if the center of gravity does move somewhere else, I think we might see the formation of a more federal opposition coming into being. Now, the real problem, I think, and I think this is the point which the opposition has to confront, is that so far they have not really got something very, very tangible to attack Narendra Modi government with. For example, the most important thing which in terms of street politics, in terms of mobilization, you used to dominate the agenda at one time was something called Mehengai, which we call inflation. Now, on that front, the Modi government is a runaway success. And that's deprived the opposition of one of its biggest things, the question of livelihood, which is big there. So they have targeted things like the SIR, they've targeted the EVMs, etc. Basically, non issues which people also feel are non issues. I assure you that had there been evidence of widespread malpractices in the electoral arena, India would not have stood still. The fact that these allegations have by and large been dismissed or belong to a very small group of people who, like the Congress, the Congress today is being dominated by a set of entitled people basically coming from American universities who try to replicate the politics of the left wing of the Democratic Party in an Indian context. And I think the results have been completely disastrous for them.
You're saying in 2026 the Congress's crisis remains. The regional parties at least have a sustainable model.
India is a very competitive democracy.
Okay,
there will always be challenges to the ruling party, and one of the reasons why the BJP always is permanently geared towards electoral battles is that it actually knows that there are challenges which are likely to come up at every quarter, from every direction. And the party must be prepared for that. It's being the readiness to take on, the flexibility to adapt to various situations. Some of these may be good decisions, some of them may be bad decisions. We'll only know in hindsight. But at least there is a lot of activity, dynamism, and mobilization within the ruling BJP. Which is not there.
I don't think too many people would object to that. That energy certainly is there in the BJP that doesn't seem to be in the opposition. But Sanjay Baru, you wrote an interesting piece the other day, seeming to suggest that, in a sense, what everyone knows, the Congress's primary problem is organizational. And unless you decentralize power, how do you revive the Congress? Do you really see the Congress reviving in 2026, given the fact that there are states like Kerala coming up, states like Assam, possibly going into 2027, Uttarakhand, Punjab? Congress could well, if they really put their effort to it, be in power in half a dozen states. Do you believe that's possible or not? Or do you believe the opposition is going to struggle?
No, well, I think first of all, 2026, the organizational issues cannot be settled that easily. It's a long haul. Because the problem it goes back several years. But for the opposition, the strategy really has to be to reinvent the India alliance in a sense that the Congress, if it focuses only on Assam and Kerala, on winning only in Assam and Kerala, and works with Mamata Banerjee in Bengal, works with DMK in Tamil Nadu, ensures that both the DMK and Mamata Banerjee return to power, then you can actually have a result that motivates the Congress at the end of the year. But if the Congress tries to get into Bengal and divide the vote there, or has a demand on DMK which is unrealistic, I know that they would be creating problems.
I'm just going to stop you for a moment, Dr. Baru, because we're having a slight problem with your audio. I'll come to you back in a moment. But Raj Chengappa, 2026, year of the opposition, opportunity for the opposition, you believe? Just as 2025, in a sense, the BJP re-established itself after the, in a way, the disappointment of 2024. Do you believe the opposition has a chance now to rebuild itself? Dr. Baru saying the India alliance has to revive in some form?
Rajdeep, one is, of course, history. Right? We know that Mr. Modi is in his third term. Historically speaking, prime ministers in their third term in India don't seem to do too well. We saw Nehru, Prime Minister Nehru, when he was there, and then, of course, the China crisis happened, and things went downhill after that. We've seen Mrs. Gandhi, she ran into issues with, in her third term, with Punjab, and then there was the unfortunate assassination that happened. So there is always a chance for the Congress and the opposition to start the attack on the Prime Minister, and that they should be doing both in an organized fashion as well as what we had discussed earlier. There's plenty of implementation that needs to be done of the various programs that Mr. Modi has done. And this opposition needs to, as it's done with the vote chori, can do a lot in terms of looking at all the programs that Mr. Modi has talked about or showcased, or the BJP has talked about and showcased, and expose them for what they are. Where they are successful, give the government a pat on the back. But I'm sure there's a lot when you look at issues that are there in these large programs. We've seen recently what happened to the Prime Minister's internship scheme. India Today itself reported that the kind of response that the government had hoped is not there. There are a whole lot of schemes that the opposition can do, which is what the opposition should be doing.
No, but vote chori, but the vote chori campaign did not result, at least in a state like Bihar, in votes. So I'm just wondering whether the opposition needs to focus more on livelihood issues rather than focus on issues like vote chori.
It's neither this or that. I think vote chori is important. We are a democracy, and we can see the impact of that happening in West Bengal, where you have huge numbers being eliminated. You see it in the other states where SIR is happening, and there is a concern about that. So that's, I'm not saying stop that. I'm saying there are a whole lot of range of issues that you need to look at, which the opposition can play. And if you take a look at the Congress, since there's been some discussion of that, fair enough, the organizational issues do persist, and that needs to be rectified. But Congress again has a chance. In Kerala, as you mentioned, they seem to have done well in the local polls. That's an area they can focus on. Tamil Nadu, they have the minor partner, but that's something that they can revive for. And let's not forget, Rajdeep, what I mentioned earlier. There are two big issues that are coming up. One is delimitation that is going to cause a lot of heartburn, particularly in southern states, and though some of the other opposition states as well. And second, the Finance Commission has to give its report. And there again, there's a huge disgruntlement among the southern states.
So you're saying, I take your point. The federal challenge will actually become more and more important. How do you ensure the federal compact holds? The question though, Ashutosh, nobody mentioned the elephant in the room, the leadership of the opposition. Who leads the opposition? In 2024, it appeared that Rahul Gandhi had emerged clearly as the #1 face of the opposition after the Lok Sabha. Now, as we enter 2026, the picture seems to have slightly changed. Some believe Rahul Gandhi has gone back to square one. Others believe he still remains an established face of the Congress. Do you believe that we will see in 2026, therefore, this leadership question once again having to be addressed by the opposition?
Rajdeep, there is no doubt about it that the opposition is in shambles. There is no doubt about it. But I would love to say this. Rahul Gandhi is the national punching bag. Anybody who's frustrated with the system goes and hits him and then feels happy that I did my job. See, the fact of the matter is that we are trying to rediscover opposition in an authoritarian system. I wish if BJP had been living in that kind of situation before 2014, how BJP would have survived for so long. And here is the case where the sitting opposition chief ministers are arrested on the eve of election. The account has frozen, and every political party in opposition, be a leader, is under the radar of ED, CBI, and everything. And nobody knows who's going to be arrested and who's going to put behind the bar. And then there is an SIR, the serious electoral issues, and then we imagine that the opposition should function the way the BJP functioned before 2014. I wish if the BJP survived, because BJP was functioning in a democratic setup. BJP was functioning in a democratic system. Now the opposition is functioning in an authoritarian system. Let's be clear about it. Now the issue is, the fundamental issue is, I think in 2000 we are reducing our democracy to only to the electoral system. That since BJP is winning, and that's why opposition has lost everything, and we should be sympathetic with opposition. The fact of the matter is that this was the year where Rahul Gandhi has emerged. He did 3 press conferences. Neither the election commission had the guts, nor the BJP government at the center has any iota of shame to ask openly and say, let's inquire these acquisitions Rahul Gandhi has made. And if he's talking rubbish, he's talking false and fictitious thing, then let's finish his political career. Why there is no
So
investigation?
so you maintain that being an opposition leader in India is not easy. We are a democracy in recession. You're heading towards an electoral autocracy. You believe those trends will continue in 2026. Am I correct?
Of course.
Broadly? Okay. You believe those trends will continue.